to you. So, people, I feel very excited tonight. Those of you who may have caught the show of October 19th on the previous television station would have heard the announcement that this was going to be the last airing of Police Insight. Well, I'd like to say that the Almighty is good, and the Choice Media Network, Choice Television, came to the rescue to ensure that this important talk show continues to bring you all the great content and education and stuff like that. So I'm very happy to be here, now being a part of this excellent family that is Choice TV. Let me try and get this out to into my ear here. All right, so tonight I have a very esteemed guest. And before I introduce him, as you know how we always do it, I like to say good night to a few people, a few shout outs. Let's see, I like to say shout out to Tekla Preville. Tekla Preville, who I also call my mom. Good night to you. Sabina Charleston, Grosley, Angela Hippolyte, and also watching from Texas in the U.S. That is Miss Fabila Yard. Fabila Yard from Texas. Good night to you. Let me check out the, let me see, try to get onto the, let's see, I'm trying to get the platform here on Facebook. Okay, eventually I will get to that. Okay, here it is. Give me a minute. Okay, so here we go. My Facebook peeps, as usual, Ivy Mitchell, Misty Jeremy, Ivy St. Rose, Victor C. Anthony from Brooklyn, Kaiser John, Mario Williams. It is so good to see you guys. You know, no matter where we go, you guys will follow. So as we about to commence the show, as we have commenced the show, first of all, I would like to big up a colleague of ours. His name is Andrad Felix. And Mr. Andrad Felix is actually set to release a manual for prayer. It's a book that he has published. It's set to release on the 26th of November. And I have a little voice note from Mr. Andrad Felix telling us about, a little bit about his project. So without further ado, Mr. Technician, I think if we have that. Okay, so let's go to that voice note and also the flyer for that book.
The book is entitled A Manual for Prayer, edited by Mr. Stan Bishop, and this piece of literature is intended to introduce its reader into a deeper understanding of communion with God and the importance of daily devotion in one's life. The primary focus in writing this book was to target the young people of this country, both theoretically and practically, introducing them to a spiritual aspect of life. As a police officer, I have come to the understanding and drawn conclusion that one of the most highlighted social ills that the youth of this country suffer from is a lack of spiritual guidance. As a result, their minds become the devil's playground to which they are misguided and find themselves partaking in horrendous crimes and criminal activities. And it is my intention to publish this book and begin a campaign that would reintroduce the young people of this country to the Creator, which will bring that spiritual growth and awareness to our young men especially, thus giving them the ability to denounce the devil and other social ills they are plagued with.
Excellent. And Mr. Andrad Felix, he is a police officer attached to the Royal Solution Police Force. And 26 November, people, let us support the officer. Let us support this gentleman who's trying to make a difference. You could contact him on 717-9655. I repeat, 717-9655. And you could also email him on Matthias Felix. That's Mathius Felix 32, as in the number 32, gmail.com. One more time, Matthias Felix, Mathius Felix 32 at gmail.com. Good job, Mr. Felix. We're looking forward to the 26th of November. Okay, without further ado, it's about time I introduce my guest for this evening, and it is none other than the top cop, our leader, our boss, if some people like to use the term boss, the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Milton Desir. Good night to you, sir, and welcome to the new home of Police Insight.
Good night, Zachary, and good night to all police officers out there. Good night to all listeners, and I must say a special good night to the police officers who are presently on duty guarding our citizens. I know it's a hard and tough task doing this, especially when you leave your home and then you leave your family behind and then you are guarding other homes. So in as much as we get paid for it, but it is a sacrifice. So I am just applauding the officers who are there, those who, and I know that they are out there and willing to assist. So good night to all officers, good night officers, the executive of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and also the line constables. And you call out all the names, but good night to everybody, but I want to go to the bottom of our list, which is the special police constables. Yeah, they do a great job. Actually, their numbers, I would say their numbers would outshine the regulars. Yes. Because everywhere you turn, you see a special police constable, and sometimes we don't, if I don't know them personally, I would not know that this individual is a special police constable and think that is a regular officer, because they perform just as the regular officers. Yeah, so thanks for it. And also a special good night to Andrade Felix. Yes. Yeah, I think I applaud him for his initiative and hope that everybody support, especially from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I'm appealing to them that everybody should have a copy of this. Yes.
Definitely, and we will ensure that that occurs. So people, as you could see, we're ready to rumble. This is Police Insight. This is where you tell a friend to tell a friend that we are live on Choice Television. Later on, we will open up the lines, definitely to taking your calls. And, I know a lot of you would have a lot to say or ask the police commissioner, but there's so much for us to get into, so let's get into it. Mr. Commissioner, since assuming the post of Commissioner of Police, first of all, what would you say has been your greatest challenge or challenges?
Okay, there have been challenges that I faced during my tenure as police commissioner, and I must start by saying that before I was confirmed in the post, I acted police commissioner on many occasions. There was a time that I acted for about a year. There was another 10 months. There was 8 months. So I was already in that chair doing the work. So it was not a new position for me. So it was right. So it was a continuation of what I was doing before. We had some challenges, but the main one was COVID, the introduction of COVID to St. Lucia. This was a great challenge. It was new to the world. It was new to St. Lucia. We did not know what to expect. And in fact, we had to be dealing with it, with the guidance of Ministry of Health to ensure that persons, protocols had to be put in place, ensure that persons observe the protocols, because that is what we had. Then comes vaccination and so on. So all these things, and to police COVID, we had to utilize our resources. And these are the resources that we had to fight crime. So we had to fight both crime and COVID at the same time. And that was a challenge for us. And I believe it's a challenge for any commissioner, any police force. Yes.
Excellent. And what would you say would have been your greatest achievement among all those challenges?
Yeah, we have had some achievements. I think one of the recorded achievement was the solve rate in crime last year, which was 58% solve rate in overall crime. And I think it's a great achievement. It was the highest in a number of years. So that was one of the achievements. Also, another achievement was being able to see to it that special police constables were elevated to the rank of regular officers. There were 64 of them were elevated. There were some constables who were senior officers, and they were looking for something. What is it? What's in it for me? As you know, special constables are appointed by the commissioner for a period of no more than 3 years, and at the end of the 3 years, if they have performed, you renew their appointment, but it becomes like a permanent appointment to them. It's like a rank in the force, and that's not what it ought to be. So I believe and I felt good that 64 of them were able to move up to regular, where they can expound on their duties. They can get an opportunity to be elevated, because at constable you could go up to corporal, but as an SPC you remain an SPC, and sometimes it hurts when some SPCs who joined in the same year as me are still, and I would mention, in fact, persons like Bellas, Samuel Fletcher, all these persons, they joined and they are at that same level because they cannot move up the ranks. And so it was a joy to see that some of them could have gone up.
Do you think there's a possibility of such an elevation occurring again, sir?
Of course, most definitely. Once there are vacancies, I believe the right way to do it is with those SPCs, once they are qualified, once they meet the requirements, is to take them up to the level of the regular officers, and the persons we are bringing in new, let them come in as SPCs. So because you would have an opportunity to assess the performance of these SPCs, you know what they, both in terms of their character and what they bring into the force. So you have a period of assessment, so you know what to expect from them. So these officers, you could bring them up to regular, and the new ones you bring them, it's like a temporary appointment for an SPC. So this is the way I intend to go.
Mr. Commissioner, earlier you mentioned that one of your greatest achievements is the solved crime rate, especially last year. Despite we were dealing with still dealing with the COVID pandemic, what would you say was the attributed to that amazing solve rate?
Yes, it is the dedication of the office, the individual officers who were investigating the crime, and also I believe the support that we got from members of the public. Okay. Yeah, this assisted us in solving the various crimes. So I am just thanking at that point the public for their contribution towards it. Could be a call, and this is what it is. Crime fighting is about. It is everybody's business. It is not just the police. If someone could just call, I see a strange person near the neighbor's house, do we continue doing this? Yes. So these are the things that we expect in persons to do, report the matter to the police so that we could respond to these situations.
That's right. Report the matter to the police, because Mr. Commissioner, with the advent of social media, which appears to almost be taking over reality, we see a lot of people making allegations, pronouncements, and stuff like that, accusations, reference to crimes that may have been committed on social media. Should that be the way to go?
No, as I said, it sometimes, don't get me wrong, it may assist the intelligence of the police. However, the right way to go is something is happening, you call the police. And one of the things that we see sometimes, you have some, I would say, some grave incidents where persons are injured and so on from accidents, and even before the person's relatives are informed that, okay, Tom Jones, your son, your nephew is in an accident. It's over the world, and sometimes the scenes are so it's so much that not everybody could take it. So I would suggest that persons, you report the matter. There's a collision, report the matter. Let the police deal with the situation.
Excellent. Mr. Commissioner, now move on to COVID law enforcement. Um, Under the previous government, we had a particular way of dealing with individuals who breached COVID protocols. Under the current government, we have more moved on to more of a softer approach, especially with the introduction of a COVID ticket. What would you say thus far, sir? How are we faring in terms of COVID law enforcement?
Okay, in terms of COVID enforcement, and the Royal St. Lucia Police Force actually would enforce any law that is in existence. That is what it is about. I would encourage the officers to enforce whatever we have. Presently, we have the tickets, and officers issuing tickets for persons who commit breaches. Before, we did not have the tickets, so we were going by way of arrest when persons commit the act. However, persons must still be aware that certain breaches, they would need to be arrested.
I see.
Yes, especially the not just somebody on the road not wearing a mask, but where permission is not given, persons hosting activities and so on, especially if the police have already warned you on numerous occasions that you're not supposed to be open, you're not supposed to be hosting such activities. So there may be a point where these individuals need to be arrested and taken to court. The ticket, you achieve basically the same result with the ticket, but it gives the person an opportunity to pay a ticket without going to court. However, if the ticket is not paid, the same court process goes on.
Okay. Are you able to tell us, in terms of this past Sunday was not really the observance of Journée Creole, but a more softened version of it, Mr. Commissioner, where everyone was encouraged to stay home and enjoy with their family. Are you able to tell us how what's the status of law enforcement in terms of the Sunday?
Yes, in terms of the Sunday, I must say there were incidents. There were persons breached some of the protocols. However, I must indicate that there were instances where persons had their Creole food home, and I'm aware that some friends came in, although it was the protocol was it's a no movement, but it was, I know persons were in the hype of Journée Creole, and especially what they were seeing on social media coming from the States, coming from persons from the States, coming from England and so on. So they participated in Journée Creole activities, but not really, I would say, in as much as the protocols were breached, but not to an extent that we saw any dangers in what happened. Yeah.
Okay, so that's excellent. That's good news. Thank you, St. Lucians, for behaving yourselves, I could say, to a great extent during our Journée Creole activities. In terms of the vaccinations, the vaccination drive among our own, Mr. Commissioner, the police, are you satisfied thus far with the numbers?
Yeah, well, we have, I must say that the numbers are growing. Yes, I am vaccinated.
So am I.
Yes, we were vaccinated. Many officers are vaccinated. However, I must say that we are aware that there are officers who are not vaccinated for some reason or another. However, the intention, what we intend as an executive, what we intend doing is to bring the health experts to the stations, the departments. We have doctors that the police that are always working with the police, and the police trust these individuals. So we will invite these doctors to speak to the various officers as to the concerns of vaccination and so on, what it does, what it do not do, so that the officers would have an informed decision as to whether they would take the vaccine or not. However, I must say, because of the work that we do as frontliners, we are more exposed to the virus than an ordinary person. You know that when we have the no movement day, persons are in, but we are out there. So we are out when there's movement, out when there is no movement to ensure that persons observe the protocol. So you are more open to that virus. So I would urge police officers, once they have confirmed with their doctor that the wise thing to do is to be vaccinated, and also the persons out there. That is what we have, is the vaccination. That is the best protection based on research that we have. So I'm just urging persons to be vaccinated. Okay.
So I would like to know what is your, and before we take a break, I'd like to know what is your thinking on mandatory vaccination. And the reason why I'm asking that, sir, recently the Police Welfare Association made a public statement where they're in disagreement with what appears to be an upcoming course, which will be hosted by the police force. And one of the requirements is that the applicants must be vaccinated. And if I were to read a quote, sir, from the vice president of the Police Welfare Association, in that article, he stated, and I quote, "The best thing to do is to prevent this from happening and prevent any further segregation or discrimination in the force," end of quote. What say you on this subject of mandatory vaccination for the police?
Okay, first of all, we have to go by what the state states. There's no mandatory vaccination by the state. However, because of our jobs and the training, that sometimes you may need persons to be vaccinated. It's not just to attend the course. It is the SSU basic course. I don't know if you have done that course, but I did the SSU basic course, and it involves a lot of interactions. Yeah, most of the exercises are pairs. It is done in pairs or in groups, small groups, and so on. So if you are going to be interacting with other persons, I think the best thing is to be vaccinated. And also, one of the reasons for that, you know that we cannot gather now as a large group. So we had to consult with Ministry of Health as to the protocols for hosting that course, because the course was necessary, the SSU course, and this is one of the protocols that persons would need to be vaccinated, because on the SSU course you cannot wear a mask.
I see.
You cannot wear a mask
because of
on the physical activity that you would be. It is rigorous training, rigorous exercise. Actually, to get into the course, there is a what do you call a physical fitness test that persons have to undergo, and it's very rigorous. And these are some of the reasons. But I believe that it is communicating what we intended to do, what was intended to be done to the general membership. I think it was just they saw that it was an application for an SSU course and you must be. But if this was communicated in a different way and explained to persons, that they would have probably understand what the intention was, and then probably would have buy into it. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Commissioner. Thus far, those of you who have been logged in, I know that you definitely been treated to an excellent interview with our police commissioner. We are now going to take a short break. When we come back, more Police Insight. Stay tuned.
It's my life and I want more. More time, more power. Pay my Lucy like bill isn't hard. I pay with credit or debit card. Pay direct to Lucy like my account. I have the power, yeah. Pay online to Lucy, select my account anywhere, any day, any hour. Lights are on at home, no more standing in line, no more worrying about my bill. Now I'm all paid up, got more time to chill, yeah, yeah. Pay my Lucy select bill isn't hard, I pay with credit or debit card.
They say friends are the family you choose. Ours is a diverse, loyal, hardworking, and tight-knit bunch. We're the Monrepo Credit Union, the first community credit union, founded by a rural community and now serving all St. Lucians. Since 1968, we've served low interest rates on loans and higher returns on savings, all while providing sound financial advice. Because our mission is changing lives, one family member at a time. Come join us. We've saved a seat for you. Monrepo Cooperative Credit Union. Our people, our community, our credit union. Telephone 455-3370.
The St. Lucia Teachers Credit Cooperative Limited continues to encourage its members to make the educated choice. Sign up for our online and ATM card services. This allows you to check your account balance, transfer funds, view account history, deposit and withdraw funds 24 hours a day at your convenience. Call us today for more information or visit your nearest branch to apply for our online and ATM card service. The St. Lucia Teachers Credit Cooperative Limited, an educated choice.
Hey, welcome back to Police Insight. Thank you for staying tuned to Choice Television. In studio with me is our Police Commissioner, Mr. Milton Desir, and your host right here, Acting Inspector Zachary Hippolyte. During the break, I took the opportunity to go on the Facebook platform, and there are so many comments and questions already. I'd like to thank you for that. Also on the WhatsApp texting platform, you will have an opportunity to question the commissioner. But in the meantime, let me just say quick shout outs to those of you who are actively taking part. Rufalastic, good night to you. Joella Yard, good night to you. Melody Martelli, All Daisy, I'm going to try my best to call out as much persons as I can. DJ Mega, yeah, thank you, brother. Welcome back. Sabina Peters, who else we got there? Bob Mangal. Jai Han, some crazy names. Lena Edward, Rosemary Modest, Raphael Kintu Lamontagne, good night to you. Who else we got there? Anthony Khan, Liu Prudent, Lena Edward. Let's see, who else? Thank you so much, guys, for engaging in the chat. As you could see, the conversation, Yulin Jabati's good night to you is definitely Anata Pinky Paul Valsin, good night to you. Jam Jenny, good night to you all. As we continue, Mr. Severin Mosheri, former police commissioner, I'd like to say good night to you. My niece, Colin Antoine, good night to you all. So, as we continue the interview of the island's police commissioner, Mr. Commissioner, we've had, I wouldn't really say much of an increase, but it's enough to add some concern, where a few of our fishermen, have been reported missing, have issues out on the waters. So what advice do you have to our fisher folk, and especially probably their relatives who might be listening, where we could ensure that they are a little more safe out there on the waters?
Okay, first of all, when you're out at sea, it's not like driving on the road. For example, you may be stranded, you have a tire, the vehicle stays on the road, and then you person back into the advise in fact, when training by fisheries and taxi to register yourself. So you call the lighthouse where you would identify your vessel that will be used, the name of the vessel, color, if possible, the name of the captain, the crew members, and most of all, your destination. Where are you heading to? Now, some persons may give a bogus destination, you don't know, but you must give a destination. This would assist the marine unit. If, for example, there is a call that you are missing, if we know where you went, they could have their plan for you. But when you said that when persons that the fisherman is missing, they don't know where they went, and you know out there, there's a saying, the sea don't have branches. So, right. So it would be more difficult if the police have no information as to where this vessel is, because we do not know whether that vessel, whether they went into fish port, whether they went into trawling or whatever. So that is, I know some persons were resisting it, but that would be the better way to go. And also for devices where you could communicate.
Yes, yes.
You have there are two-way radios. We have cell phone now. All in as much as the cell phone, the range would not. Sometimes the fishermen they go past the cell phone range, but this is to communicate to land. It is important. So at least you know that you have encountered some difficulty with your engines or whatever, and that you were adrift. So the Coast Guard, with the help of air, the RSS,
yes,
or whichever, yes, we could search for that vessel. Also, I am aware that during the COVID, when they opened up for the fishermen to go out at sea, that was the registering, and then the fishermen, the association, the cooperatives, they were all present and agreed to have somebody at that association to register the fishermen where they go in and so on. But are they doing it? So these all these things would assist the fishermen if they are out there, and also if visibility is not good on a particular day, you don't venture out too far from land, because if you do not have a compass or you do not have navigation equipment, you have to rely on sight. And if you cannot see land where you're going, you navigate anywhere just only to find out that you are going in the opposite direction instead of going to land. So these are some of the things that we do. And also the marine unit is open to training fishermen. We have done it, we'll continue to do it. So what the cooperative need to do is to get in touch with the marine unit, and then the various training, they would give them the training, what is required and so on, so that it could assist them.
Excellent. Yeah. So fisher folk, you need to get in contact with the lighthouse. You could get in contact with the lighthouse. You get in contact with the police marine unit when you are venturing out at sea. Take these things seriously. And you know, I know how it is sometimes, Sometimes some of you don't go to fish. That's the reality. Every time I hear the media says on an excursion, some of you don't go to fish, some of you do other stuff, but you gotta be careful, and it's best to have some form of plan if in case this happens to you. So excellent, Mr. Commissioner. Speculation is rife, sir. Speculation is rife concerning your future as police commissioner. You care to comment on that, sir?
In terms of the speculation, I shall not comment. However, what is a fact is that I am appointed until December of 2022, and during that time, I will do what it takes to ensure that there's reduction in crime, that the police officers on the whole, that their welfare is welfare and the well-being, that we see about their well-being, and so that you have a better workforce to go out there to assist the public. And at the end of it, when I'm ready to leave, or when the time comes, so there would be a transition where whoever takes over would not get a workforce that is demotivated and so on. So this is what. So.
And that's just the way it is. This is
Yeah,
just how it
this is it. That is it's until December 20. So during that time, I will do. What
So there was
supposed
so
to
many,
be.
there was so much social media rumors or suggestions that with the coming in, with the changing of the government, that St. Lucia would have seen a new police commissioner by now. But this is not how it works, is it, Commissioner?
No, as I said, I would not comment on that aspect of it. I'm just saying what I am,
Yes.
the facts.
Okay.
The facts is I'm contracted until December 2022, and I will be doing what a commissioner is supposed to do. And in fact, what my plans and so on, I have to see to it that everything comes to fruition, and that there will be an easy transition to whoever takes over.
How would you describe your relationship with the Police Welfare Association, sir?
Oh, the welfare, sometimes I don't even know all the members on the welfare. And I'll tell you why, because we have a good working relationship.
Yes,
So anyone calls me, I've just it as another officer who is calling me. There's the president of the welfare, and as much as he's out now, we keep in touch every day. When they have issues, I know that they bring it up to him, because a commissioner of police, or I would say a leader, you're supposed to be with your welfare. It's not working against the other, because the welfare is fighting for the, I should say, or looking after the well-being of its members, ensure fairness and so on. And that I have a rapport with the association. You remember, right?
Well, no longer, sir.
Oh, you no longer.
Yes,
you see,
yes.
I didn't
But
even
recently-
realize you're not a member. So,
Yes.
So I, whenever there is an issue, we try to resolve that issue together. Yeah, it's communication, and we arrive at a solution for that issue before it gets out of hand.
So the show Police Inside have been on for some time, and there is a complaint that rears its ugly head time after time, and that is there is still the perception that exists in the public sphere that the police either deliberately or does not have the capacity to investigate its own, especially when one of our members may have been implicated, whether in a criminal offense or whether the public have seen one of our members acting in a way that does not speak to police discipline. Do you think, sir, that we are doing a good job in terms of discipline, or should we have another body responsible for investigating the police?
Well, I would say that I would do the latter part. That if the public, because remember we serve the public, and if the public wants an independent body to investigate police officers, I think we need to lean towards that, and in fact, so that the police force would be relieved that they did not get into these allegations and so on. However, I must say that the police are able to investigate other police officers. Just I was out and I saw on social media where a police officer was arrested and charged. Yeah, just this week. So he was charged not by an outside body, he was charged by a member of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. So once persons do wrong, you have the evidence. I believe that officers will do their job, and then will be able to investigate and then take persons to justice.
How do you feel, Mr. Commissioner, when you've received news that one of our own has been charged for an offense?
Yes, well, it is a sad feeling, and sometimes I do think, and I know other officers too, that why is he an officer, doing that? Yeah, you could understand we are there to ensure that things go well, that we fight crime and so on, that another person, an individual, is arrested and charged for a particular offense. Yes, you could understand that, but when it is an officer,
Yes.
especially where this officer may have charged other individuals for this offense, yeah, it is something that sometimes you cannot even stomach, you cannot speak about it, yeah, because it is another officer, because it brings down that in itself, it brings down the trust
Yes.
that the public would have in the police force. It also brings down the trust that other police officers have with this individual, and sometimes you hardly hear other police officers saying that man should not be charged and so on, because if the person has done wrong, they have done wrong, and in as much as every person is innocent until proven guilty, but there is a process to be followed, and persons would go through that process.
Excellent. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, very, very intriguing interview. We are going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to open up the lines as I continue the interview. I want to hear from you, your messages, your WhatsApp. Stay tuned to Police Insight.
Massey Stores Home is now open in the Boulevard with small and large appliances, furniture, electronics, bed and bath items, and much more. Plus, hire purchase, free delivery island-wide, and free installation is available. Shop for all the essentials for your home and earn points when you swipe your Massey card at Massey Stores Home on the Boulevard in Castries. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay tuned to what's happening in store. See you soon.
I got the COVID-19 vaccine to safely return to my dance class.
I wanted the vaccine because I really missed being at school.
I got vaccinated so that I can go visit my grandparents without having to worry about them getting ill.
I asked my mom to be vaccinated after reading and realizing this was the best way to keep my family and friends protected.
We all look forward to doing the things we love once more. The COVID-19 vaccine gives us this hope.
The vaccine is protecting us
and will protect you too.
Vaccinate. For you, for yours, for us.
All businesses start small and grow into successful corporations. With a strong team, you can have a strong business. Protect the employees that stand by you with Beacon's Be Better Group Health Plan. It's a customizable and affordable health plan for smaller businesses that offers many of the benefits of a large corporate plan. Call us at 458-5860 or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
With Prime Bundles from Digicel, you get more than just data. You level up to a whole new digital life. Level up with D-Music and groove along to all your favorite music tracks. Level up with Sports Max and catch all the adrenaline-packed live sports action.
Oh, what a goal!
Level up with Go Loud and tune into local radio stations and the most happening podcasts from around the world. And level up with Playgo and get a front row seat to watch the latest movies and TV series. Enjoy a 7-day bundle starting at only $30 with 50 gigabytes of dedicated data for premium access to your favorite apps without touching your any-use data. Experience the next level with your Digicel Prime Bundle. Activate now with the My Digicel app.
Welcome back to Police Insight. Your host here, Acting Inspector Zachary Hippolyte of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. In studio with me is our Police Commissioner, Mr. Milton Desir. As we continue the interview, we are going to open up the lines. And the number to call the studio is 452-7347. Am I correct, guys? 456-0306. Okay, so you know, guys, you know when it's the first day, there will be these little hiccups. So it's on screen, 456-0306, 456-0306. If you want to call in with a contribution or question to the police commissioner, we will also check out the Facebook chat, and you could also WhatsApp me on the texting platform on number 7200401, 7200401. Mr. Commissioner, I have a message here. I'd like to say good night to Mr. Elvis Thomas. Good night to you, sir. Superintendent Thomas, I understand, so he's in the south. Way down south. Hope all is well with you, sir. We have a question there, Mr. Commissioner. Good night, Mr. Commissioner and Acting Inspector Hippolyte. Can you tell the public when will the police force get serious with the reckless behavior of motorists on the road? Emphasis on motorcycles.
Yes, very good question. First of all, the motorists themselves have to be serious with themselves. You use your vehicle to navigate the roads to get from one place to the other, and you need to be careful. There's no need to be dangerous. We've seen persons who would be popping a wheelie in traffic and so on. However, one of the measures that we have taken in terms of correcting that situation was recently I introduced a highway patrol dedicated to do just that. In fact, this patrol is a combination of SSU officers and traffic officers. So if anything of a violent nature is happening, we have the SSU officers to take care of it. And if anything traffic-wise, we have the traffic officers. And this has been reaping success to us.
Excellent.
Yes.
One moment, Commissioner. We have a call on the line. Let's take that call. Good night, caller.
Hi, good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you for calling Police Insight.
Mr. Desir, Mr. Commissioner, good night.
Good night.
How are you, sir?
Yes, I'm okay.
Mr. Desir, I heard you make mention of, I didn't hear you mention our special reserve officers. I think those reserve officers are doing a fantastic job, and I see them as more than I see police special police constables out in the road. So I believe it is only fair that you would have mentioned them, but that's all right. That's okay. I have a few concerns, and one of them being that.
Can you speak a little louder, caller? There is a feedback here, guys, also like a little static. But go ahead, caller. Just speak a little louder.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I was saying I have a few concerns, and one of them being that after a police officer has passed away, probably about 10, 15, 20 years after he has passed away, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force get rid of all information they have on that police officer. My father was a police officer who passed away 21 years ago. And now it's impossible to get his rank, his force number, and a photo on file for him. I believe that's not right. That's not right, and that's I don't think that's fair. And it would have only been right and fair if certain information was accessible. And it's even more sad that I had to contact ACP Louis all the way in Barbados, who somewhat provided me some information, but then the information that I got wasn't what I was looking for, but it was helpful. But then I am still disappointed that I couldn't get information from our very own police force, and he himself couldn't believe that I was not able to get such information from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Um, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about that. But I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. And I think something needs to be done to honor officers who have served the government and people of this country. They put their lives at risk to see people in government and the people in the government of this country. Mr. Commissioner, sorry.
Wrap up, caller, wrap up.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. Inspector Evalis, I'd first like to comment on, I want to comment on the, we don't see as much officers out like we used to. What's really going on? What's really happening? Normally we would see officers out in the night patrolling. We don't see what's really going on. And Mr. Commissioner, if you would speak about future plans, the police has plans, not to really get into information into what your plans are, but at least to let us know the direction that we want to take the force before the time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Okay. Yes.
You get to.
Yes, I think we had 3 questions about the officer who left. His dad was a police officer and left 21 years ago. I must indicate that we have information on police officers. Probably that could have been one in the midst that the information is not there, but we have information on officers from way back. And these files had been transferred to electronic.
Nice.
You're right. Now, if you do not have the hard document, you cannot transfer to electronics. Don't think it's what you enter in a computer that you would be able to retrieve. So it's unfortunate that this information is not there, but I know that we have information going way back here on our officers in the force. In terms of the officers being on the road, I know that from the time that COVID hit St. Lucia, that the numbers of officers available for duty had been reduced tremendously, and that was because of 2 things. One, because officers were being infected, and number 2, it was the plan to combat that situation, whereby some shifts had to be cut into 2, so that if a portion of that shift, if it's affected, the entire station is not affected. So that was one of the plans that we were using going forward with COVID. However, I must indicate that as much as possible, officers are on the road. We have the patrols both on foot and on vehicles, and we would ensure that persons are safe. So with the limits that we have, we are still doing our best in ensuring that persons get the response that is needed.
Excellent. We have another call. Let's take that call. Good night, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night. Good night, sir. Thank you for calling Police Insight.
You're welcome. I have a question for you, the Commissioner.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. I made an observation today on the road in traffic, and I wonder if the police do not see just like the general public sees, because I noticed that I saw in traffic a motorist, with a specially designed stereo system, if you will, with loud blaring music. I think it is designed, it is in such a way that the 2 doors, side doors, partially open, and the boombox in there and blasting, and you can feel the vibration from yards, miles away, if you will. And I mean, it was not just the only one that I noticed, and that's in Castries. And I wonder if there isn't a law regarding noise pollution, and then over the last few years, I mean, the way that this thing has permeated on the streets of St. Lucia. I wonder if the police doesn't see it, or if there's no law against the noise pollution on our streets in traffic. And I hear a lot of people calling on the shows, and it doesn't seem like the police is doing anything regarding it. I would like to hear your comment on that, Mr. Commissioner.
Yes, actually, in response, there is a law with reference to noise pollution, especially coming out of motor vehicles, creating a loud noise disturbance to other motorists, and in fact, to the annoyance of any other person, even if the person is not a driver or a motorist, it is an offense. So I am happy that you called and said that it was being done and nobody attended to it. And these are the things that we would like to know, that certain things are happening. And if caller, it's not that I am making any excuse, but the police would not be everywhere at the same time. And mind you, if the motorist is aware that if a police officer is there, they could spot a police officer easily, they would lower the noise. After they have passed that police officer, then they bring up the volume again. Also, you have groups, persons that would call on to indicate which street there's a police and so on, don't pass on that street. We have that. So as I said, I'm not making an excuse for it. It is an offense, and then we need to tackle it.
It's one where we could actually arrest also.
Yes, it is an arrestable offense. To seize the equipment.
Yeah, especially. Okay, we have another call. Okay, let's take that call. Good night, caller. Call drop. Okay, all right. We have a question. Let's take a question in the Facebook chat if you don't have a call as yet. Can you please, Mr. Commissioner, address the work ethics in regards to how police address and approach their work? I know the times are rough and resources are thin, but investigations still take forever. Reports take too long to come through. Sometimes not even a response from the officers you deal with. Better needs to be done. And that's a comment coming from the Facebook chat.
Yes. Actually, that is an issue that we are faced with, the response time. And various factors would affect the time that persons respond, the time that persons prepare files, and so on. First of all, it deals with, it is sometimes the individual officer himself. So the amount of work that they have, the amount of dedication to what that officer is doing. But what is important to note is that we at the management of the force, what we are expecting persons to do, and actually there was a person responsible at every station or department, the CID, where reports are made, to ensure that persons communicate with the victims or the relatives of the victims of crime as to the status of the case. And I believe this is something that we need to revisit and ensure that it is done. And not just the investigating officer, but somebody responsible, an SO supervisor, who is there to ensure you have the crime management system, go through that system, to ensure that, okay, X matter is being investigated by Constable Paul, what have you done on it, and so on, and to ensure that we get some results. We also get that complaint on motor vehicle accidents too. Reports. The insurances would not do much if you do not have a report from the insurances. So these are things that we need to build up on, and it's all about customer service. Yeah, we've had training in customer service. We continue to deliver. We continue to speak to the officers, have sessions and so on as to the reasons why and how they should go about delivering good service to the customers. Yeah.
Excellent. We have another call on the line. Let's take that call. Good night, caller.
Yes, can I make a contribution to the program?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, good night. My concern is the number plate on vehicles. I thought we had a standard number plate that should be issued to vehicles. I know for sure some people carry out, they have their name or whatever. Now, there are some with names that is written cursive. You cannot make it out. I thought they would have, even though the person wants to pay for the name on the number plate, it should be able, someone should be able to read that from a distance. There are 2 or 3 particular vehicles that since the last year, they were there. You know, I think one is a Rosie or something like that. Yeah, and it is still happening. Supposing these vehicles knock you down or something like that, how can somebody make out the number? And also now I noticed 2 or 3 years ago, the officers were very strict on number plates because it was a standard practice. Now it have all kinds of things. People are back to doing what they want. And
the law is clear, caller, when it comes to the number plate. The law is very clear. I know that there is provision to have customized plates where you would make an application to the Ministry of Infrastructure, and there's a fee that you'd pay. But I understand what you're saying, and I know our police officers, some might think that they turn a blind eye, but they do call up and take on drivers when it comes to the number plate. Some people receive tickets.
Yeah, because I agree, but it is still happening.
Okay.
Because I'm seeing the same number plates on these vehicles morning, noon, and night.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. You wish to say anything on that, sir? You okay?
Yeah, I think it's
all right.
clear.
Let's take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the support. Stay tuned to Police Insight.
Celebrate the season with a Christmas loan from the Royal St. Lucia Police and Allied Services Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Get up to $10,000 with no deposit necessary and quick 24 hours processing time. That's $10,000 just in time for the Christmas season. So ring in the holidays with a Christmas loan from the Royal St. Lucia Police and Allied Services Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Call or visit us today. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 31st, 2021.
The loss of sexual desire and endurance can be both devastating and frustrating to a man. To gain these feelings back with a sense of power and stamina that lasts, use Hard On Plus. Hard On Plus, this natural herbal male sexual formula enriched with zinc, has no side effects. Hard On Plus offers vitality and strength to last longer when it matters. Hard On Plus is distributed by La Clinique Decor and available at all pharmacies island-wide. Call 451-6559 for more information. For stamina, for strength, for pleasure, get Hard On Plus.
Players, please note that effective November 1st, our evening draws will close at 7:55 p.m. Monday to Saturday, with broadcast at 8 p.m. This is in keeping with the new curfew measures. Super 6 draw closure will remain at 11:45 a.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays, with broadcast during the midday draw.
I got the COVID-19 vaccine to safely return to my dance class.
I wanted the vaccine because I really missed being at school.
I got vaccinated so that I can go visit my grandparents without having to worry about them getting ill.
I asked my mom to be vaccinated after reading and realizing this was the best way to keep my family and friends protected.
We all look forward to doing the things we love once more. The COVID-19 vaccine gives us this hope.
The vaccine is protecting us
and will protect you too.
Vaccinate. For you, for yours, for us.
Welcome back to Police Insight. Your host there, Acting Inspector Zachary Hippolyte, and in studio with me is none other than our esteemed leader, Mr. Milton Desir, Commissioner of Police. The number is on the screen, 456-0306. Please call in with your contributions. We have a call on the line. Let's take that call. Good night, caller.
Yeah, good night.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, the show's back on.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I just have a question for the commissioner. Actually, two questions. One, as the commissioner of police, what is his opinion on the methodology that was used in the past administration concerning the COVID-related matters and this new administration?
You talk about COVID what, caller?
The COVID situation, the COVID aspect of it when it comes to policing.
Okay.
So is there, has this been is there a difference, or is it the same, or
okay.
Is there a thing? And the second question is, why isn't the Royal Central Police Force, I mean, in terms of the Central Third Corps, why aren't I'm asking a question, why aren't the officers who are military trained and the commissioned officers as well, why aren't they being somehow using the structure of the police force in any capacity to assist?
I lost the latter part of the question.
No, I'm saying,
speak a little louder, caller.
Why doesn't the police force engage the cadet corps in terms of using officers who are military trained, or commissioned officers by the Queen, who can assist the police force in any related matter when it comes to policing?
The cadet corps?
Yeah, the cadet corps. Especially cadet officers, not the young ones, the cadet officers.
Okay.
Can they be used to assist the police force in any kind of way possible?
Okay.
I'm seeing you stretch film.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Yes. So, first question. Are you able to see?
Yes. Actually, in terms of policing COVID, we police according to what law is in existence. That is what we do. So whatever law, whichever administration that is there, whatever law that is, whatever protocols, that is what the force will enforce. So I am not going to compare any two administrations. Whatever is there, we had before when COVID started, and we have now. Things changed. There are things that are different, things that we are seeing. When we came in, nobody knew what COVID was about, what we would expect from COVID. There was laws were put in place, protocols were put in place, so we policed it. Now we have different protocols. We will police whatever protocols that's in place, and that is what it is.
And his question on
the cadets.
Collaboration between the cadets.
Yes,
cadets.
Actually the cadets, and you specifically mentioned the senior ones to assist. Yes, cadets are being used to assist us. When COVID started, we used some of the cadets at the various sites, the quarantine sites and so on. So we are using cadets in whatever way that is possible, especially for crowd controls and so on.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have a message here on the WhatsApp texting platform. Good night, Acting Inspector. Good program. Miss Leo's here. The best thing that happened to the RSLPF is Mr. Daisy. And I think that I've articulated this before. He was appointed too late. This is a man, in my opinion, that is not about fake promises. He does what he says he will do. I think he is fair in his doing. I just want to encourage him. I may never meet him again, but please keep his head, make sure he keeps his head up. All the best and God bless. So that's from Miss Marie Leonce. Let me try and get
Thank
through
you for
some
that,
of those.
that comment. Thank you for the Miss Leos.
Question again, sir, from the WhatsApp texting platform. I'm not forgetting you, those in the Facebook chat. I'm coming to you. Good evening, sir. 2 questions. Is there an intention to have initial training for new officers soon? Will the recruits be fully vaccinated, or do they have to be fully vaccinated? And also, with the recent promotions process, persons received letters of having successfully completed the process. How long are those valid for? Thank you. Which one you want to take first? Initial training.
Yes, in terms of the initial training, actually, persons who come into the first day, we must have the initial training. But the caller, you will appreciate that it was during COVID, and even the schools were not open fully. So when you have training, you go to training school, and most of the training that we do, in as much as we may be able to use Zoom or any other form of training, but physically, the physical aspect of it, there must be that physical contact, and we would be guided by the Ministry of Health. But the intention is to continue the training. I don't think it is prudent to have persons just in the force and they are not fully trained. So this is something we will be looking at. So as soon as we could get a proper training program, and I would answer another question which says about the vaccination.
Yes.
And as I said, this guide, we would be guided by the Ministry of Health to see whether we could get approval for our training, and if health indicates that persons because of what we are doing, persons ought to be vaccinated, then this is what we would go by.
And the last part speaks to officers receiving letters where they were successfully in the promotions process. They didn't get promoted, but they have a letter saying they were successful. I guess he wants to know how long are those.
Okay,
validity of those
the
letters.
promotions policy would dictate how long your letter or your pass would be valid for. However,
Okay.
there was an amendment to it, and the pass now is valid for 5 years.
Okay, excellent.
Right. So you are entitled. It is valid for 5 years. So if within that time there are vacancies and so on, and we would still be promoted within that time.
Okay, excellent. Those of you in the chat still raging on, debating as to how great the commissioner is or how great he isn't. Good job. Continue. We have a question here, sir. Why do we have such a high rate of unsolved murders here? I think it's around 300.
300
unsolved murders. I don't know.
Yes. Actually, the figure I cannot. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
attest to the figures. However, I know there's a high enough rate of unsolved murders. We are bothering with the murders that we have, probably almost a quarter to half of the murders being solved. Now, to solve murders, first of all, we must have evidence, and that is when you say a murder is solved. We must have evidence. We must know who committed the act. We must have the evidence. We could get evidence in 2 ways: via information from the public who said, okay, Jack Jones was the one. Then we could have forensic evidence. Now, in both of them, we are facing challenges in terms of persons giving the information, and also equipment in terms of the collection and then the processing of evidence. So sometimes it takes us a little longer to solve certain things, but I must inform that two of some long outstanding cases were solved.
Yes.
When nobody was expecting.
Yes.
So the officers still work on the cases, looking at what you could gather to solve your case. And,
Cases, like you said,
yes,
persons fought were already
were
done
dead.
and dusted.
Yes, but
they were solved.
Yeah, they were solved. So it is I must admit, it is a challenge and so on. But the officers do their best in terms of solving these homicides.
Another question. Okay, we have a call on the line. Let's take that call. Good night, caller.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you for calling Police Insight.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Desir. I want to know where the Kimberly Delay murder case is heading to, because I have been walking, I have been trying to reach you. Every time I get to your office, he's at a meeting, he's not in, he's at a meeting, he's on vacation. When I was told that they had all the evidence that they needed, the only thing they were waiting for was the ballistic report from Martinique, in which that gun which was used in Kimberly DeLeo's murder was also involved in a murder in Martinique. I need to get some clearance on that, and I also need to know, why is it a police officer has not been assigned to me? I am her mother, Mary Williams.
Yes.
Why a police officer has not been assigned to me, and I have to be trying to catch up with people throwing me under the bus, including the GPP, throw me under the go-to-hell bus. Is it a cold case? Do I have to solve it on my own? I would prefer the police to solve it, because I think that's the way to go. But I need to know what is going on, because my daughter's murder will not end up being cold.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Yes,
your question and contribution, Mr. Commissioner.
Yes, in response to this, actually, presently, I would not be in a position to give this status of that matter. I can do it and a statement would be made. However, someone would contact the caller. Yes, we could contact the caller and give some updates, some information on it. But any information that I would give here may not be the correct or final status of the case. However, I must assure her that it is not a cold case, and then we are still working on that case.
Not a cold case, definitely not a cold case. Any calls? Okay. Okay, let's take that caller. Good night, caller.
Good night, officer.
Good night.
Congrats. Nice seeing you again on another channel.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, good night.
Good night.
I just want to add to what the lady, the question the lady asked. It's about investigation of homicide.
Yes.
Because I am seeing that too many times. I am a victim of one with my cousin. It's going to 12 years. They shot my cousin at her home. And no police officer, nobody never tell us anything about the investigation. And it's going to 12 years. And we haven't heard nothing about that. No police officer never come and tell the family, well, they have they investigated and that is this and that is that. We have nothing. I just want to ask a question to the commissioner. Do we have police officers that is qualified to investigate homicide? And how many of them are there?
Do you care to say the name of your cousin, caller?
Pardon?
Could you care to say the name of your cousin?
Yes.
The matter?
Yes, I can. Carol Scott.
Carol Scott.
Yeah, and it's going to 12 years. On May 11th was given exactly 11 years, and look, a year almost ends. So and we have not heard anything about it. I am wondering, and that is not only the the first case or any case. They have so many of them that is unsolved. And what I'm saying is that, what I am saying is that they're supposed to have, things in place to send police officers to train in those areas. You understand? Everything going back to front chock-a-block in St. Lucia. Everything is the cat before the horse. And the cat cannot pull the horse. It's the horse that have to pull the cat. So things need to be arranged in St. Lucia. All, throughout the whole civil service, the things are upside down. Things are not going the right way. Politicians form government. Politicians come, they go. Government come, they go. It stays the same thing. That one come, that government come. They want to break the law. They want to break the constitutional laws. They want to take away this. They want to take away that. And the people that is supposed to be in charge of keeping the law, upholding the law, is agreeing with them and breaking it with them, helping them to break it. All those things. How can a country be stable that way? Everybody is looking for favors, promotion, and nobody not concerned about, having a St. Lucia that is upright and having a St. Lucia that is stable. Everybody's for the money and the position and the promotion. And it will not gain us nothing, because the young ones that are coming, starting from the education system, down all the whole civil service is that way. The police force is the very same thing. I will not put everybody, because there are some people that are striving to keep things right, because all departments of civil service supposed to have laws regulating them. And when government come, they're changing it, they're making the people break it, and and civil servants are too divided among themselves. One cannot stand for the other for the right of the country, because government comes and they go, but they're supposed to have a right. They have to supposed to have law to govern the country and everybody in the country. But politicians is showing some, when they come, they're above the law, so they can break the law how they want, and they can tell the police force to break it too with them. You understand? And they're the ones that supposed to be keeping the law, because at the end of the day, when those people do their 5 years and the house is dissolved, who are the ones that is keeping stability in the country? It's the police officers and the civil servants that is still continuing in their work.
That's right,
So
caller.
please, I'm asking civil servants from the police down to other departments, be stable and stick together as glue, because you all are the ones that are running the country, not the few politicians that come in for 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller.
First of all, let me empathize with the caller. I think it's 12 years.
12 years.
It's a lot. I will endeavor to find out more information on that, especially the investigator, whoever is investigating, to find out the status of the case. But I must also inform that we have trained investigators, but as I said previously, there are instances where you don't have the evidence. To take a matter to court, you need evidence. And the evidence could be in two forms. One, the direct evidence where somebody is coming to say it is Tom Jones or give that information, and we must get the forensic evidence to match that, to put that person on that scene. So sometimes it is not as simple as people think. However, all homicides need to be investigated, and then persons would be expecting a result from it. We have the information on the deceased, so we would follow up and then get in touch with the lady. But I think the 12 years is too long that you did not hear anything from an officer, even if that it is not solved yet. I think it is right that you inform the victim that this is so and so, and this is the way we are going. Yes, so there need to be that communication.
Someone says we're about wrapping up soon, folks. Someone says the issues relating to the solving of certain crimes are not unique to St. Lucia. So someone is just trying to let us know the reality of it. Question here, so what disciplinary actions does the police force have for police officers involved in domestic abuse of their spouses, especially when it's a high-ranking officer?
Well, there we have the Complaints Act. We would follow the Complaints Act once we are aware that this incident has occurred. If a report, an official report is made, and usually if you are aware, we would try to investigate. The victim makes a report because sometimes you find that the victim do not make an official report for various reasons. But once we are aware, once a report is made, it would be investigated just as any ordinary civilian.
Abuse. And the viewer goes on to say, does the commissioner have the power to fire a high-ranking officer? Is that how it works?
Well, it is what is high-ranking. Actually, up to from ASP, Assistant Superintendent, upwards, it is the Public Service Commission. However, from the commissioner has the power to deal with an inspector down to constable. However, to fire and so on, you would need evidence. You must go through a process. There's the law of natural justice, where you have to give the person an opportunity to be heard and so on, and then that could be done. Yes.
I have another question here from a viewer. Does the government provide the necessary equipment or tools to carry out investigations? Can that be a reason why cases are going unsolved? Someone probably, I think they're more talking about our ability to have the tools, the requisite tools needed, so
yes,
in terms of investigations.
Yes, for investigations, various tools are needed. We have some tools, and tools, it's never, I would say, enough. The more you could get tools, because we are in modern times, to identify and then to detect certain stuff, the better for us. But I must say that we have tools. We have the scene of crime unit who work alongside the lab, and actually there have been a move for these officers to go and work alongside at the lab itself. So they would be divorced from the force and then to work under the direct supervision of the director of the lab, so that we believe at that instance they would be more acquainted, and the procedures and so on would be followed. So we are expecting to get better results from that.
And I'll take that last question from the Facebook chat. So would it be possible to consider using civilians to do administrative work, such as typing and filing reports, so that officers would be free to do actual police work? An idea from a viewer.
Yes, actually there are certain departments, for example, at our accounts, at HR, where you have civilians working, but there are certain departments, you need the officers to work at those departments. And if, for example, you have officers being replaced with at least 10 civilians replace officers who are doing clerical work also, it would assist the force. We would have more hands on deck.
Yeah, yes. I guess that person wants to see it at the level of the stations. I don't know how that could work.
Yeah. No, but at the station it would be difficult. You could have just one, probably the commander, the officer in charge. They have a secretary. Yes, but in terms of the other work that has to be done, it is police work. Writing proper reports and so on, and you must know the various elements of the offense that you are looking for. Yes. So.
Okay. Well, we have come to the end of our debut show on Choice TV. So before we officially end, final comments from you. You being the first guest on Choice TV Police Insight.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Choice for giving us the opportunity to host that show. and also to the members of the public. I know that there have been outcries in terms of crimes and fear of crime for that matter. Yeah, because sometimes the fear of crime, sometimes it's even worse than a crime itself, because when a crime is committed, it affects one family and so on, but you don't know who's next. So the fear that this would happen to you, yeah, it is sometimes very serious. So I'm just assuring members of the public that the police, we will do all in our powers to ensure that we bring the crime down. We will use whatever resources that we have with the help of others from the government, also from private citizens whoever can assist. We'll never have too many. So I would say that we have a force. We'll try to ensure that the requisite training is given to the officers, so the officers would be well prepared to go out there. And one of the things I must stress is customer service. Yes. Yeah, we need to give the public that level of service which is required to make them feel comfortable. They deserve it. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Commissioner, for being our first guest. Yes. And thank you, the viewers, those of you who called via the landlines, the messages on WhatsApp, and the Facebook chat that was ablaze. Thank you so much for showing the love and the support. This is what we do through this medium. Reach out to you, have those discussions, and we learn from each other. So if it's a Tuesday, it's Police Insight. Good night.